Welcome to another episode of the Advice First podcast. This is your host, Robert Clark. I am joined by our good friend and founder of Prosperitas Financial, Mr. Christopher Ingram, and most importantly, the owner and lead idea strategist, Miss Amanda Benson-Tilch with Ask Amanda.
Hello.
How are you? Welcome to the Advice First podcast.
I'm great. Now sitting here in this luxurious studio.
I wouldn't know about luxurious, but for our listeners who weren't here pre-recording, we've already been mastered on how to market, how to do a better job marketing our podcast. So that's why we're so excited to have Amanda on the show today. So many great tips to share around just business, consulting, ideas, strategies, and obviously marketing. We know that you're specifically talented in. But I know it wasn't always that way.
No.
And so tell us a little bit about the road to where you are now.
One of the things that I feel like is important for people to know about me that maybe they didn't. First of all, Chris, can you say something so people know that you're here?
Hello.
Thank you. I'm just teasing him. I started when I was 22 years old. I signed a lease on a flower shop, a brick and mortar. And so I owned and operated a flower shop over on Cinema Drive. The very lovely, talented, talkative, persuasive Rena Newhall got me in on that. So she was going in as a partner and still owns part of that building as a partner. On Cinema Drive there where her chorus line dancewear is. And she was a client of a flower shop that I was working in. And while I was going to school, I was a student at COC. And she's like, you should own a flower shop, and just talked me right into it. And so I put together a business plan and went to my dad for the business loan because I didn't even own a bicycle. I didn't own anything to even apply for SBA loan or qualify. So I got the financing, and I had a partner. She did as well. It was what the other girl I was working with. We went in half and half, and it was a dirt lot. And so that's where me working and hustling and understanding relationships and, with the chamber and business owners and marketing and how important first impressions are.
Yeah.
That's where I learned a lot in that. We signed a 3-year lease, and about a year and a half in, my partner decided she didn't want to do it anymore. So I became the sole owner of that. I also got married at that time frame. And towards the end of my lease, as lovely as Rena is, her prices were very high. And so we were looking to relocate, and I just couldn't find Pavilions, where Pavilions was, which is called Pavilions. It's not there now anymore, but that was being built, and we were looking for somewhere to maybe relocate the business, and it's so expensive too. The refrigeration unit I had alone would have been very costly to move. And so I ended up closing it, selling. Another flower shop was opening at the time. I think she was called Bloomin' Crazy. She's a very smart lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, Susan.
Yeah.
So I sold her all of my stuff and wished her a lot of success. And I was pregnant at the time with my first one. So I just went home and had a baby and tried to be happy in that, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Going from working 7 days a week to 12-hour days to just staring at this beautiful baby.
And you are a social animal.
Right. I was it wasn't my deal. So I got into real estate.
Right.
I got into real estate, and I loved it. I still love that whole industry and the idea of helping people find their homes, and it was very cool. So I did that for a long time. Got pregnant again with my second child, and just kind of went into, what's it called, where you just coordinate the files. Now I can't think of it, but anyways, I just would do that for a while, working for a couple of real estate agents because I could do it from home and just juggling some kids, and I don't know, got divorced, and I started to work with the Hyatt for a while. So that really was my first corporate job, I would like to say.
Yeah.
Because I've never worked for a company that had an HR. I mean, could you imagine what it's like to put me?
Well, that's when I met you.
Yeah.
You were at
That's
Hyatt.
true.
Yeah, we met originally when you were at Hyatt.
That's true. That's a long time ago. So we've known each other longer than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked there. And that's a funny story I would like to share really quick, because I think there's so much to learn about power and relationships and how important it is to be respectful, not burn a bridge, be yourself, be honest when you're meeting people. I called the Hyatt interested in a catering manager's position because I came from the flower shop and I used to love doing weddings. And I thought, I want to go do that for the Hyatt. Why not? It's right there in our backyard. And I spoke to a lady over the phone that we had a very nice conversation. And she, at the end, says, we're not hiring right now, but I'm going to keep your name and number. And I was like, all right, whatever. Nice talking to you. Went about my life. And a year later, almost to the month, she calls me back. Kept my name and number. Her name is Kim. Some of you guys probably would know her, Kim Zimmenhouse. We're still friends to this day. And she asked me to come in for an interview. And she explained to me that the Hyatt has been through some transitions, as they have with ownerships many times. And she was now in a director's position and she needed to hire somebody. And I got the job.
Dang.
Isn't that crazy? A year later. Yeah. And so I worked there for 3 years in that role, and layoffs came, in 2008 when it was like really tough. And there was 3 of us that did the same job. And I went to her office and I said, one of the girls was younger than me and she was getting married. Another girl was older, another lady that was older, much older than me. And I didn't particularly like her very much. And I say that candidly, she's a lovely lady now, but then, and she would admit it, she was not so lovely. Yeah. And I had to deal with a lot of her clients that complained. And I just felt like if I stay and she stays, I'm going to hate this job. And I love this job. And if you let this girl go, no, she's just starting her life. And so I went to my boss, to Kim, and I just said, listen, I know they're coming. And I told her that. So I said, just think of that if you have to cut one of us. And so I basically volunteered myself because at the time I was married and I don't know, it wasn't a need, you know what I mean? My job was extra for us and I don't know. And so layoffs came and I got let go. And in November and in January, my ex-husband at the time comes to me and tells me he wants a divorce and wanted to leave. And so it was a big shock. I mean, it was out of the blue.
Oh, gosh.
And but I in retrospect, and we all say this, Kim and I, we talk about it, is that if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have been able to focus on what was actually happening to my life. I would have tried to do everything to make this job work and be a success, and therefore not be there for my kids and figure out, really what's going on, right? So, but anyways, that was that story. But the experience that I learned at the Hyatt is just crucial because they teach you, so, at least in the beginning when I worked for Hyatt, the brand, they put me through an incredible sales training. And that was very valuable. And the relationships I made there were very valuable. I got to travel and go to other hotels and see how they did things and talk to other catering managers and stuff. But the interesting thing too is after that time, about a year after my divorce and trying to figure everything out, I guess maybe it was almost 2 years into that, I got called back to the Hyatt. Actually, I was working for a local lender in the area. He knew about my divorce and he gave me a job because I just needed to work somewhere. I didn't have, all of a sudden I had to sell the house, had no place to live, and I had no job. I had to figure out how to start over.
Right.
I laugh about it, but it was really tough. I had to completely start over. He gave me a great job, and which was extremely helpful to me and the kids, being able, with our schedules, he let me come to work for 6 hours and take home my work after school so I could be with them, because I couldn't afford daycare.
That's incredible.
Really, people are really amazing.
Yeah.
And he was the lender that helped us with our home, so he knew the situation,
Bosses that are really flexible and let their assistants go home to take care of their kids.
Right.
Katie. Those are some of the greatest people on earth. Just remember that.
Should you shine your crown right now?
I'm trying to. I mean, make sure Katie listens to this.
Yes. No, but it's very true, because there's a lot of value in that. And it also gave me the power back of being able to have a job and manage it. Anyways, the Hyatt ended up calling me back. It was new management there, and they brought me back in a different role, which was the business travel sales manager's position, which nobody even knows what that is. I didn't even know. I was like, what do you mean? I don't even know what that means. Yeah. And they're like, listen, we can teach you how, what this job is, but you've already have the wherewithal. Like this is about relationships and good customer service, and you have that, and you know the product. So they gave me an incredible, it meant benefits again. It meant a salary. It meant stability for the kids and I.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I took it with tears in my eyes. I couldn't believe it. It just was amazing. So I got to go back to Hyatt, which was crazy and so great, and learned a complete different role, Yeah. And from there, Lyndon Mohafizi poached me and offered me the position at Elite Magazine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So I was the associate publisher over there. And at the time, in the hospitality industry, if you want to grow your position or grow your career, you sort of have to leave hotels. You have to go to another location. And I wasn't willing to do that because I didn't want to leave the hill or leave this area and go over the hill.
Yep.
Because I was the only one here. My family, nobody was really here. And so if something happened with the kids, I want to be there to do something, be there when they get the award and all the stuff. So it wasn't really ever an option for me to do that. And so I was pretty stuck. And, I was making okay money, but I wasn't making enough for supporting 3 mouths or for a future anyway. And so I took the job because there was a lot of potential with Elite Magazine, and I had so much fun with that job. I love Alex Hafizi. I mean, I really had a great time. But in that is where Ask Amanda was born, in that job.
Interesting.
Yeah, which was where we are here today.
Right.
That's great. And how so, being the associate publisher?
Well, so I sold ads, was a lot of what I did, and helped find articles and leads and things. But advertising was one of the things that I did for that magazine. And when I would go meet with business owners about potentially being in the magazine, I'd be like, okay, what do you want this ad to do? What's the goal of this ad? And I've told this story before, but like one of these guys was like, well, he booked his business if his phone rang because he could book appointments, and that was where he made his money. So I said, okay, well then let's gear the ad towards your phone number, and we'll help you figure it out. And Alex, they would help me put together the artwork and stuff. And I would call him did you get the email? Can you please, I need your approval on the ad. And nobody's answering the phone. And I'm thinking, wait, wasn't the point for you to get the phone to ring, and now nobody's there to answer the phone?
Right.
So let's talk about what the real problems are. Like, you need a service. You need an answering service. Like, here, call this guy. And I just would start helping, like maybe almost before you spend your money with me and marketing yourself, let's spend the money fixing the stuff that's wrong first, so that when you do spend the money with me, it's actually, I don't want you to call me and say, hey, my ad didn't work. I didn't get any calls. Well, the truth is nobody was there to answer the phone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how the idea started. I just started helping business owners with social media marketing and suggestions, and I would be there. I was much more than just an ad salesperson. If they had a grand opening, I would be there and I would bring people. If they were having a sale, I would make sure our audience knew about it. I just really went above and beyond because that's what we should be doing,
Yep.
Supporting each other in the
So
community.
if she comes on a podcast, she lets the people running the podcast know that nobody can see their podcast.
Right. Exactly.
See how this works? She's good, man. She's really good.
But did you see how nice I said it?
You did. Yeah. Amazing. I didn't feel bad about it at all. No.
I think I politely said, yeah, you suck. But no, I'm just kidding. No.
See, there's once. I'll say it again another time.
You guys, come on. No, so that, and then on the flip side of it, one of my best friends I met working at the Hyatt, and we're still best friends to this day. Her name is Diana. She's going to love this. She was new to town. She came from Glendora, so she didn't know anything about Santa Clarita. So when we met at the Hyatt, we bonded, and she was like, hey, where do you go to get your nails done? And like, where's the best happy hour? And like, da-da-da-da. And so she started like literally hashtagging Ask Amanda. She would text me a question and hashtag Ask Amanda. So she gave me the name, and between that and what I did with the clients, like that's where it came. And so one day I just decided I needed to make more money. And I took the risk of starting this business. And it's such a need.
Yeah.
It's such a need.
Right. But and it's a tough one because, you know, I mean, I'll let you answer this. Do you find there's like common challenges between all the businesses that you're talking to?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. I find myself like thinking, I feel bad about making, you know, basically making money off of the same answer I give to everybody. But the truth is they need to know it. And there's a lot of commonalities between small business owners, which really is that they are their craft. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're good at branding, at marketing, or knowing how to do certain other things. Like just one of the ladies one time was like, oh, here's, you know, she wanted a system to like track her clients and pay her bills. And so I say, get ready, I'm coming. Like, let me see it all. It was all on paper. She's still doing everything. How do you go see your accountant? He must hate you. He must charge you a fortune. She goes, yeah. And I'm like, so I got her on a system of like, this is like, have you met QuickBooks? Just introducing people to things like that, you know? So but a lot of people are just, they don't know where to start. They don't know who to ask. And they're afraid, you know, of like, this is going to mean change and I'm not ready for change. So I'm all about baby steps. Let's go at your pace.
I mean, I think a lot of people are just busy.
Yes.
Working in their business.
Yes. And not on their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a big difference. Well, it's not their fault. They're the craft. They're the seamstress. They're the ones that's going to make the dress. They're not the one that knows how to market the dress.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you help somebody who doesn't know they have a problem?
Oh, those are my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know why? Because I feel like at the end of it, if they're receptive, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. You know, sitting down and talking with somebody about what they think their problem is, I quickly uncover what the actual problem is. And, you know, I'm neutral. I'm not invested. I'm not their employee. Like, I can say, you're the problem. You need to step aside and let her do it, or like vice versa, you know? Yeah. 'Cause I'm neutral. And it actually works really well. I mean, I've been recruited to hire people for positions that I'm not even affiliated with the company, but they trust my instinct and I've done that before. I mean, I've kind of done all sorts of things. I've been a mediator between a couple of employees. Yeah. I've been a business coach to a couple of people that are suffering in their business when they could be better. Yeah. So.
And I'm really just curious because you do so many things under that umbrella of just being a consultant. So how do you charge for that? Is it like...
Oh, it's a great question. For you, it's $1 million. Okay. But for everybody else. No, I'm just kidding.
Got it.
I gotta.
I'll write the check before she leaves.
This is going to be the longest podcast episode, air quotes, ever.
No, I mean that was a very challenging part for me in the very beginning, was to figure out what my rate would be, and I remember meeting with a friend. I was on a vacation in Florida, and him and I were talking, and him and I used to do real estate together, and he's moved on, and we were just visiting. So he knows who I am, and he understands, you know, the value there. And I told him my rate, and he goes, "What?" And I said, yeah, just, you know, this. And he's like, hold on, no. It should be double that. Like, when are you, he goes, this is what you're going to do. The next time somebody calls and they ask you for a consultation, you're going to say the new price. And I did, and nobody blinked. And I did it. So I kept doing it. And now I've even upped it one other time since then. And what I do is I structure myself based on an hour. So because people can't take more than an hour of me when I'm giving you like a lot of advice, it's very overwhelming. And that's what I've learned, to put a time limit on it, like on a session. And so I'll do like a 15-minute consultation of like, how can I help you? What are you struggling with? Let me know. And then during that call, I'm taking a ton of notes and I'm mapping out how I think I can help them. Sometimes it's just, you don't need me, you need somebody else, and here's their name and phone number. And I don't feel comfortable taking money about that. I just want to refer you to the person that you're actually looking for, you know?
Love that.
Yeah. And then other times I'll map it out, and then I say, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a piece of this or all of it, however long I think it needs. And I just try to fit in all of that in that hour, and I charge for that hour. But if it's a project where they want me to help hire somebody, or they want me to work on like rebranding or going over their website and all their social media and fix it, I know how long that's going to take me. And so I'll just quote them for the project. Right. It's just what I do. It just seems to be the easiest way.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And do you do, so I know marketing is like your thing.
Yeah.
But what about if somebody says they need a system or a process put in place at the business? Is that something that you build out, the system and process? Or do you lean on somebody else to do that and you just kind of tell them what you think it should look like and have somebody else actually build the process? Or how do you do that?
So great question, because I'm not like technical in a lot of those ways. So some of it I will explain to them, and I'm a big fan of teaching them, because if you give me or anybody else all the cards, you don't really know what's going on with your business.
Right.
And even if I'm teaching you and you say still it's not for me and I can't manage it, I don't have the time, then I'll try to find somebody in your organization that has the strengths that I know that can do it for you. Or I just would refer you to a third party. Sometimes all three of those is like, I'll help you build it out and get it started, but I'm teaching you how to do the same. Like social media, for example. I've taken on a couple of businesses that have had no presence, and I build it out for them. I make sure their bio's on tack, like all of it, all three. Like if and I don't recommend doing more than that, but for them, like a couple of businesses I'm keeping in mind is Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, because that's their target audience, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll build out all there, make sure their brand is consistent, everything's cohesive across the board, and I'll post for like 30 days, and I want them to see what I'm doing. And how I'm doing it, and then identify somebody in their organization or them to see how I've done it. Even so much to like go on Canva and create the posts in a shared account. So now they've got access to everything that I've done and they can see how. And so some things like that. But like, I don't do QuickBooks. I've just, or there'll be some systems, I like to practice what I preach. So there'll be some systems that I'll teach because I know how to use them and I use them. But I will refer somebody else to them. Like, this is what you need. Some of my other clients, this really works for them. So here, call these people and they're going to help you do it. But trust me, this is it, you know? So no, I mean, some of the things I can do and some of them they're out of my scope.
Right.
I don't know all of it, but I know that I'm resourceful. Right.
How important is accountability in your practice?
Well, it goes both ways. That's a great question. If you're going to hire me, all I would say is I would just expect that if you want to be successful, you at least try the things I suggest. That's all. And if they don't work for you, then that's fine. I worked for a business right in the middle of when I worked for Elite Magazine and when I was starting my business. And then I went to go work for him full time with marketing and stuff. And man, he was the problem. And I sat him down and I told him that he was the problem. And I said, you really need to remove yourself. Employees are leaving. You ruined a relationship with your daughter who was running the place, like all this stuff. And I'm like, if you're not seeing the common denominator here, this is a bigger problem than I thought. That business is no longer in business. He didn't survive. He just decided to close it. But his ego was in the way. And there's some extent to that I respect, because you kind of have to have a little bit of an ego to take the risk to start a business, right? You kind of have to, but at the same time, you also have to realize when you're in the way. Yeah. So accountability is huge. For me, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the things that you've hired me to do. There's no question. I mean, that's my livelihood. Yeah. So.
Do you find that most clients struggle with getting the tasks done though, because they're so different? Or?
Yes. And also because they're overwhelmed by it anyway. Right. I mean, they already were before they called me. That's why they called me. Yeah. So that's why I'm a big fan of just going at their pace. Like, let's just, I've given you a list of like 18 things. Let's just do the first 3 and just see where you're at. And then, and then I follow up with them and how's it going and what's your struggle, and, so we just go from there. Cause I can't even help it. I'll walk into a place and be like, oh no. It takes over, like, oh, nobody even said anything to me and I've been here for 10 minutes. Or I just can't even help it. It's like
this podcast studio.
Literally, I wasn't even sitting down yet. I started in on you guys. Sorry. But the first thing I did was compliment you at how nice this place was.
You are so sweet about it. That's the best part about it. I mean, you could basically insult anybody. The way you do it is so nice and sweet that you're like, okay.
Thank you. I'm going to let my husband hear that part. Yeah. You give Katie the other part. We're giving James that part.
Like it.
That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, Chris, as a business owner, how often do you think about marketing or
your brand, which you guys have a brand new brand, basically?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I try to be good about is, and it took me years, decades to figure this out, is I'm now trying to delegate and put other people in charge of things that I don't like doing or I'm not necessarily good at doing, so that they're off of my plate and someone else is responsible for them.
That's key, Chris.
Which took me so long. I tried to do everything. I tried to micromanage everything. I'm very OCD with a lot of stuff, so I tried to be on top of everybody, and I'm I'm still working on it. This is a work in progress, but I am slowly relinquishing some of those responsibilities to other people. And I've tried to team up with people like Robert that I know are good at what they do, and I don't have to worry about it, and I can let him take it, and I can trust that he's going to do a good job, which, again, decades of working on that. So.
And it's hard too when it's your baby, because you've got so much invested, trusting somebody else to come in and feel the same way you do. It's almost impossible for that to happen. So I have empathy for that, for people that are that way, but I'm also proud of you that you found what your weakness is and then tried to hire somebody that has that strength, because that is key to a success. And truthfully, the most important thing that I think that you've done well this whole time, again, here comes the compliment. So you never know what's going to come with the left hand. But anyways,
Love it.
No, one of the things that I think that you've always done really well is stay in touch with your current clientele. And that's the best marketing. It's free marketing. I mean, that's where your dollars are. So if you're not marketing your business to try to get new business, at least salvaging that and having those touch points with those clients, that your existing clientele is crucial. That's a big part of when you've changed over a brand and built up something new.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I've always had the philosophy of they've entrusted me with their business and their money, and they come first. And new business, marketing, all that stuff comes secondary to maintaining those relationships and doing what they've trusted me to do. But sometimes it's eliminated the need for marketing to some degree because they're so happy that they send business in, which is, a catch-22. It's a good and bad thing, because then you don't focus on the marketing as much. But it's worked out well, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course.
We need to do more marketing though, so that's we're working on it.
Yeah.
So you've never heard of the Advice First podcast, Amanda. Did you see Chris's video series that he did last summer?
My 30 videos in 30 days.
So I didn't see all of them, but yes, I did see some of them. I think that was a very good challenge for you to do. I love stuff when people do things. I did the same thing, but I did it in February. It was only 28 days in February.
See?
There you go.
See? Now she's proving she's smarter than I am. So.
But I did it way back when. I just tried to do, a whole month. I was like, it's a whole month of every day I'm going to do one video, but I picked the shortest month.
Good job. That's awesome.
It is good that when you can do stuff like that. So yeah.
So knowing everything you know now, do you think your flower shop, if you were to go back and open a flower shop, do you think it would be successful?
Yes. Yeah.
What would you do differently?
A lot. I would do a lot. I probably wouldn't have had a partner.
Well, and now you have social media and all these things
it's so
too.
different. Oh my God, you guys, I barely had a cell phone. Look, I don't know if you know how old I am, but I was 23 years old when we opened the door finally. It's a long time ago, okay? We had Thomas guides. I had to drive around with Thomas guides. And you already know how directionally challenged I am when I called you to get here.
He has no idea what a Thomas guide is.
That used to be my reading material in the back of the car. Are you kidding me?
Right. I mean, it was a challenge for me, for sure.
Judge my baby face.
So there's a lot I would do different. And there is just a lot that's different now. But I am one of those people that I do not live my life with regret. So I don't have anything that I would want to do over again for a different outcome. It all happens for a reason. I love it all. Some of it's really terrible, but it got me here. And, you really do it depends on what you want to take away. I have the tendency to take away the good stuff because the bad weighs heavy on you. It gives you wrinkles. It's in your shoulders. And I just don't take the bad with me. I'll let it linger for a bit until I get over it, and then I move on from it.
See, I think you would be a great flower store owner, but I can't imagine you not being Ask Amanda. Like this, this seems like this was what you were made for. I mean, your dynamic personality, the way you look at things, just the way you're nice to people while you insult them at the same time. I just think it all plays into being really good at what you do. So I think you found your calling.
Being in the corporate world was very challenging for me. Because there was limitations. They put limits on you about what you can do. And like, I had no problems with goals. I was all about like, what are my goals? How do I get there? And figuring out different ways. And meeting my quotas meant more money in my bank. So it was great for the kids and all the things, right? But there was a lot of limitations on like, oh no, you're not allowed to do that. And I would come up with these great marketing things, or like, I mean, this is silly, but like, you know, I'd be walking down the hall and like, our sweet little HR person would be like, Amanda, your skirt's a little short. And I was like, no, my legs are just long. And I would just walk away from her. But like, I'm in sales, people. Like, what do you think? So just things like that. You have to like, and I just want to be me and do my own thing. And I don't think about that kind of stuff. I just saw a cute dress and I'm wearing it today, you know? Anyway, so there was a lot, that's silly, but there was a lot of things that you were not allowed to do to try to get people's business. And or they had to be the Hyatt way, you know, and that was what I wasn't really good at.
Yeah.
I learned.
And talk to me a little bit, and I don't know this background necessarily. I do know that it was a difficult experience for you. So if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to answer it. But I know that the COVID-19 pandemic brought many challenges to everybody, but I recall seeing things on social media where, you know, you were dealing with some difficulties through the business. What was that like for you?
Well, so I don't know if you guys know this, but, and this is one of the things I think that is interesting about me, that I run a gym in Burbank.
Okay.
So so just imagine that. We've been closed for 12 months.
Right.
And I also, so I'm the managing director of Burbank Fitness Club, and I'll tell you about that. And I'm also the managing director of Burbank Center Apartments. So and I do my Ask Amanda stuff. So, and I love all three things. So don't get me wrong at all. And I manage them all very well. And it's an incredible opportunity. But for COVID, we in Burbank got hit really hard because we had a lot of vacancies. So the apartments I run, it's 134 units and they're studio style. Which means, you know, they're about 500 square feet. I had a lot of students living there, all went home because schools were closed, the colleges. I had a lot of people live there that were at Cartoon Network and Netflix and Disney, like all in the movies. Yeah. They all lost their jobs and moved. So dealing with a ton of vacancies. Not only that, hearing the stories of these people. I mean, I dealt with this one young guy who was just, you know, crying. It just gives me the chills. His visa got, you know, he had to go back to his country and he came here to work, and when he said to me, my American dream has just died. And I was just like, I couldn't, what can I do to help you get moved? You know, like I just feel so bad for these people. So dealing with a lot of those people's stories was really rough on me, like mentally. And then what it meant to the landlord, who I have this incredible relationship with. And I mean, that just was very difficult as well, financially, what that meant, and my role in all of that as well. My salary is attached to that, you know. And then with the gym. So here's my quick little story about how I got involved with that, because this is something that a lot of people don't know. So here first, right? Advice first. You're going to hear it. Because a lot of people know that maybe, or some people know that maybe I'm involved with this gym in Burbank. But so my daughter's best friend, their family, the father of the family owns property management company in Burbank. And when he heard about my Ask Amanda business starting, he wanted to know kind of what is it that you do. And so I just kind of shared with him, which, by the way, was still new to me. I don't really know what I did. I just, what's your problem? You know, how can I help you? Yeah. So he wanted to rebrand his property management company, and he brought me on board to do that. And that's how our relationship started. New logo, new name, new website, new business card, just a full rebrand. Super fun, right up my alley. And funny thing is, here we are 4 years later, it still has not been done because we got obviously derailed. But we've changed names twice. You know, Hillary Broadwater did the logo. We're on our third logo. You know, anyways, it's a not right now project, you know.
You're going at their speed, like you said.
Yeah, totally, 100%. I'm not pushing anything. And so one of his tenants, it was this gym, Burbank Athletic Club, located on Palm and San Fernando Road. It's a pretty big gym down there. And he was going to redo this guy's lease and work on some TIs, tenant improvements. And he said, kind of like, before I do that, I think he needs some marketing help. And I'm going to tell him he needs to hire you. And can you help him? And I was like, sure, I would love to do that. And I looked, obviously I looked, his Yelp was terrible. He hadn't posted anything on Facebook or Instagram in over a year. His website was still in beta mode and it was live. I just cringe at all these things, right? Anyways, and so when I walked into this gym, he made me wait for a little bit, this owner. And so I got to watch. I was in the lobby, like what was going in. People were walking in on a bro punch. Nobody was scanning. I was like, and the type of crowd that was walking in.
I remember you telling me about this.
Interesting, right?
Even the way the place was set up. Yeah.
It's crazy. So I met the guy, and literally within 60 seconds, I was like, oh, he's a problem. It's instinctual. I just know it. He won't look me in the eyes when he's talking to me. He doesn't have answers about his own business. And I'm thinking who's the manager? Let me talk to that person. No, there isn't one. And so literally, anyways, long story short, I did some work for him and he never paid me. And I finally told Tom, who was the guy that I work with and who owns a property management company, which our relationship was very new, And so he paid me, and long story short, here we are. He ended up just walking away from this business, and Tom ended up making an asset purchase and bought, the equipment and database and from him. All while this is going on, I'm helping Tom in certain ways. I'm just showing up and he's just paying me here and there, and it's contracted, and I'm just giving him advice, and I don't really know what's going on with the gym, I'm just trying to help him where I can. And all while I'm being interviewed at COC at the foundation. So the College of the Canyon out here is hiring for their foundation in a certain position that members of the foundation board are reaching out to me and want me to have that job. And I which is a huge honor. I'm in the interview process. I'm down to me and somebody else. And they called and told me that. And so I'm like, well, this is getting serious. I don't really know. And again, I'm doing my Ask Amanda. I'm doing really well. The first month I left Elite Magazine and started Ask Amanda, it was November. So it was into the holiday. The end of December, when I closed my books out, I made more money. I doubled my income.
Oh my gosh.
So it told me two things. I'm capable, and it was a need in the community. And so I'm doing fine financially. But long term, you think of benefits, and you think of all the things that you and I have talked about, Chris, before. And, setting things up for my kids and all that stuff. And it's very hard to do that as an entrepreneur. And so, I have my parents telling me I should take it. It's, it's a great opportunity in the college, all this stuff. So I go to Tom and I said, hey, so I don't know what's going on with this gym, but I'm in the middle of this interview process, and this is how much it is, and this is what it means. And it's down to me and another person. So it hasn't been officially offered to me where I've accepted it, but what are we doing with this gym? And so he said, he goes, I thought you were going to come over here and break up with me. He thought it was I'm moving on and you got to figure this out. He goes, which we joke about today. It's so funny. And so he offered me this role. He said, I'm going to give you this salary. I'll give you benefits. And I need your help. You're going to run the gym. And I'm thinking of managing director's position. And I was like, what, operations, hiring, I'll handle the renovations. And that's what we did. And so I called COC and I thanked them. And I just respectfully withdrew my, application. And they hired the next person. And it worked out for everybody. Everybody they didn't have to make a decision anymore. They got a candidate. And at the end of the day, I'm taking the entrepreneur job.
Right.
I get to work for an entrepreneur, and together we're going to build out this business. So that's how I got involved with the gym. And he also manages the whole building. And so within a short amount of time, he was struggling with his apartments. And I just said, why don't you just let me supervise that leasing manager over there, because literally my office in the gym and the office the leasing manager just was one driveway across.
Wow.
I'll just walk over there and meet with her once a week and find out what's going on. Right. And I helped her. She needed marketing materials. I got it. I made it. I gave her everything to be successful. She was the problem. She just wasn't. So we let her go, and then I said, just let me sit here and figure this out. Let me figure out what's really going on. And I'm still there today because I just don't trust anybody else to be there. It's that bad. But that's where we're at. And so in this whole COVID time, you know, the gym got shut down. That location, there's nowhere that we could put anything outdoors.
Right. Oh, that's
there's
so
nowhere.
Tough.
And so we just sat with it empty, and it just sucked. I had to lay off. Like at that time, I think I had about 40 employees. I'm down to 25 now. Just heartbreaking. So yeah, that's COVID has been. And with Ask Amanda, I did nothing. I went cold. I had no clients because all of April and May and June, if anybody called me and needed my help, I just said I'm doing it for free because people were struggling and I didn't feel right about trying to take money. And if I could help them, I was going to do it. So I set a time limit on it. I wasn't going to be able to afford it much longer. So I didn't make any income for Ask Amanda until July.
Wow.
Yeah, I had January and February. Some of March were decent, and then nothing until July.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been hard.
The true advice first mentality, right?
Right.
Yep. Owned it, lived it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because I remember your post is one of the most memorable posts I saw during COVID. And I remember you posted something about, I forget the details. You were walking and you saw somebody that you hadn't seen anybody in a while, and you broke down crying. And, you know, I tend to be more on the, when COVID happened, I said, I've been training for this my whole life. Like I'm kind of an introvert. Like I'm like, I get to stay home.
Same thing. Yeah.
This is perfect for me.
Right.
But I saw your post, and it was one of those moments where I realized that there were some people that are social beings that are really suffering during this time period because they're not getting to hug people and be close to people and have meals
and the
with
synergy
people.
that happens, you know, I love events, and, you know, I'm at every single event I feel like out here in Santa Clarita, and if I'm not working it, I'm participating and helping it somehow. But there's so much synergy there. A lot of why my business survives or exists is because of the connections and the people I meet at these events. If you're not doing that, it's like, what are you? Oh, that's embarrassing. Is that you?
Not me.
Oh, just leave it alone. Okay, sorry, that's embarrassing. I thought I turned it off. If you're not out there where you could meet anybody, it's like there's no interaction. They don't even know about you. So like, how do you stay relevant? How do you stay current? How do you stay top of mind during all of this? And that was one of the challenges that I had. So I did a lot of Wednesday happy hours. I went on Instagram Live just to see whoever wanted to talk to me. I'm here. Wow. I drank a lot, and then I had to give that up because, man, it's just sitting as you get older.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
COVID was, And
then at first I was like, I'll just drink through March. It's no big deal. And then by June, I was like, I don't think this is good. I don't think the kids are like, my mom was drunk the entire COVID because this thing is going on, you know? So I had to take a little break.
Yeah.
But that's been mentally very challenging for me. I felt useless. It's like, if I can't help support an event or a nonprofit, I'm not helping business owners. My gym is closed. The apartments are depressing. And sometimes being down there didn't feel safe. You know, it's like just when everything was crazy. It was a tough year. I'm glad it's back there.
Absolutely. And out of it is coming the Ask Amanda show.
Right. That was one thing I did. I tried to pivot in June.
Which is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that. So
I've been asked quite a few times to do a podcast with a bunch of people, and I was like, yes. And then I was like, what are we going to talk about? And then it just would fade away. Right. And more on my part, because I knew it wasn't really what I should be doing. You know, like I didn't really commit to it because it wasn't the right thing for my brand. And so I decided, okay, well, let me see if there is a podcast here. I took Jackie McDougall's Find Your Voice Academy, like little free seminar thing she did in June. I just did it, and it helped me determine if I did have a show. You know, was kind of narrowed it down. And then I took the whole course, and I just went through it all. And it was so extremely helpful. Jackie was my first guest on my first episode. I made a commitment that I was going to do it. Then, I talked to Lindsay and Brian Schluck. They wanted to sort of do something like this where it was a video. Well, they want to do something a little different, and maybe I twist their arm to do this. But I realized that video, I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of this going on. Like my hands are flying. I'm very expressive, so I'm not terrible at video.
Right.
I do say bad words and do whatever, but that's you take. This is what it is, right? Try not to over here.
Part of the package,
right?
Yeah.
But I felt like I wasn't afraid of video, and there's something to be said. So here you guys go. You do one piece of content that you can share in multiple different ways. If you like to watch, I got a video. If you want to listen, you can hear it. And if she wants to read, I've got a blog. It's in written form. It's one piece of content delivered in 3 ways. So that's what the Schlucks and I came up with. I hired Kirsten Quinn with Wordsmith. So she transcribes the podcast. So we record it, the video, record the audio. So Brian will strip it down. He'll put all the graphics on, make it cool for the video, strips it down for the audio, gives me the audio version. She transcribes it and gives it to me in a blog format.
Wow.
So however you want to hear my content, it's coming at you.
Yeah.
And then I deliver those I launch them differently. So this week I launched my 3rd episode today of the Ask Amanda show on audio only. Okay. Next week I'll launch it on video, and then it will come out in the blog format. The cool thing about all 3 of these things, the audio is a little bit more challenging. You just throw it up there and people listen to it or not. But the other 2, you could break them up into segments, right? Mm-hmm. And pull out little segments, and they could be little Instagram stories or IGTVs. They can be little YouTube clips that lead you to the full one where maybe they pay to listen or watch the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You could take aspects of your blog and break it down and have corresponding photos that now it's social media posts. And it just took me 1 hour. I did it all in one time. Mm-hmm. And I outsourced the rest. Because I can't do all that.
Right.
I can't do it all that.
You only got so many hours in the day.
I can't. I can't. Brian's editing it. They're delivering. Kirsten's helped me with the written part, and so that's how. And the Ask Amanda show just came about where I want to help small business owners.
Yep.
And it does what you guys are doing here, which I believe it qualifies me to help you as a small business owner, and it showcases or highlights my resources, who are my guests. Mm-hmm. And that's the point of that. That's the reason why I did it. I'm not like you. I'm only putting 1 out a month because I just don't have the time. I record 2 at one time, but then I deliver them because I have to time block that time out of my day. Yeah. So I just block, one afternoon out, and I just record 2 episodes. And
when you schedule all the posts for, that cadence, are you doing all of that yourself?
Yeah.
And making the posts?
Yes, I do. It's got to be my voice. Mm-hmm. It's that's the one thing that if I try to help people build their social media up, I really try to get to understand what their brand's voice is, and then it be that, and then make sure that they can continue it without me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, in addition to the show, I actually found a number of videos on your website that are equally as insightful.
Yeah. So in 2000, thank you. That was just something fun. In 2018, I decided, the little Gary Vaynerchuk kind of side of me, right? I'm just going to document all this stuff that I do every day. So really the goal with it was that people understood what I do, because people kept asking me, what is that you actually do? Well, here, I'm going to record my session. Hopefully you'll get a little value out of it.
Right.
And it became fun. And it became, I have the guy, William Shepard, he does our photography and videography for the gym. He's my guy that does it all for the gym. And I love him. He's great. We have a great connection. He's super fun. I just hired him to come hang out with me sometimes and film these things and edit. And we just built that part of the brand. Yep. Kind of fell away, when COVID hit. The last session that he recorded was me at a real estate office where I talked in March, right before the shutdown.
Wow.
So that was my last of those videos.
And then you blew up their business. Look at all the demand you created.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're smoking hot now in the real estate market. Yeah.
So if you need a testimonial, go look at the real estate market created by Amanda Benson.
Yeah, that was the last talk I did was there. And so I just can't afford it. I don't have any reason. I'll just record my Zooms, Yeah. So that's kind of sucked about COVID is I had a challenge of getting content.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah.
What would you say, if you could give 3 pieces of advice to business owners out there, what would you make that list?
Probably not in any particular order, but it goes back to the know, like, and trust thing. Anything that you're doing, you have to think of it in terms of marketing or relationships. Like, are people getting to know me? So am I being my authentic self? Am I sharing a little bit more than just what I do for a living? Am I not being mean? That was me not cussing. I just want to recognize that.
Congratulations. You did a good job.
Where people will like me. So is my authentic self likable? And am I putting myself in situations where I can shine, where I can be likable, And then, am I being is it trustworthy? So like, am I showing up on time? Am I providing the services that I say that I'm going to provide? That know, like, and trust is huge. Really understanding what that means to the individual and to the business would be key for people. Everybody's like, oh yeah, know, like, and trust. But are you really doing it? You're checking yourself is one of the things. And then one of my favorite sayings is the answer is always no unless, if you don't ask. And so don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask your boss to take a chance on you for marketing or whatever, you just don't know. Don't operate out of fear.
Yep.
Don't operate out of fear. That's probably my other one. It's like, I just want to shake people when I give them advice and they're like, I don't know, but no, I can't. Just get out of here. No, yes, you can. You're capable. It either goes two ways. I just won't waste my energy and I think, oh, okay, well, nice to meet you. And I'll just move on. But those would be my main three things is
sound advice. I love that.
And if to all the business owners listening right now that don't know they need you,
right?
How would you tee them up and let them know that they probably need to talk to you, have a consultation? Like, what would you say to all these business owners right now that would at least get them to take a chance, have a conversation with them?
Well, I don't bite, first of all. There's that. I'm very nice.
Yes.
No, but you know what? I would say, what are you struggling with in your business? Like, what is the one thing that you can't get past, that you want to keep doing, but you keep putting off, or that you don't understand why it's not working? What's literally the one thing that's really bugging you? Just look at one. Just pick. You might have 7, but what's the one thing? And just call me and let's talk about that. Because once you can get past that one thing, it might open the doors up for everything else to work, And a lot of people would rather be like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm just going to put that back there and leave it.
Yep.
And I think that it's probably worth something to take a look at why it's not working.
Right.
Yep. And let me help you fix it. So that would be what I would say.
Got it.
Love that. Great advice. How can our listeners find and connect with you?
Anywhere. Social media. I feel like my phone number is everywhere. I always think like I want to wear when we're doing things like this. I just want to wear my phone number on my T-shirt. Just like, hey, just call that number. I don't care.
Just wear it everywhere.
Normally I'll answer it, but you saw me kick my phone down here earlier when it was ringing. I have a big thing about if I'm going to put my phone number out there, I'm answering it. I have a big thing about that. Be sure you're answering it. But my cell phone is 661-714-9443. Nice. But social media, I'm Ask Amanda pretty much everywhere. Ask Amanda Consulting everywhere. Yep. And if you really want to know a lot about what I do, I would say go to my website because there's a lot on there. It shows a lot of different ways I can help people, which is just askamandaconsulting.com.
Love it. Amanda, have we left out anything that you wanted to cover today on Advice First?
No, I think this is great. I'm so thankful that you guys invited me here. And then at the same time, I'm impressed. This is a really nice studio. I'm envious.
Nice studio.
It is.
When you have foliage on the wall, it changes everything.
Right, it totally does. It's very welcoming, but your brand is right up here. You guys, it's nice.
Thank you.
No, it's great.
Now we just need to tell people about it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd be here for. So I'll work it out. Thank you guys for having me on and thinking of me. I really appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your insights. And thank you, Chris.
Yes, thank you for having me.
On your own podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
See ya.
All right, bye.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, Prosperitas Financial is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group, Inc. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase of sale of any security or other financial instrument. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. All the views expressed are those of Robert Clark and Prosperitas Financial and not of those of Next Financial Group, Inc. Next does not offer tax or legal advice. The S&P 500 is a market cap weighted index composed of common stocks of 500 leading companies in the leading industries of the U.S. economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price weighted index of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks.